guys, and welcome back to another episode here on Arc Tutorials. What we're going to go through today is how to build your house in SketchUp. Now, you don't have to be an architectural professional, an architecture student. You can just be absolutely anybody. And if you've followed my tutorials that take an hour that show you the basics of SketchUp, then you stand good stead of being able to do this by yourself. And what we're going to do is show you how to put your house into SketchUp so you've got a 3D model of your house that you can then use to make plans of. You can use for 3D modeling if you want to add an extension, or even little things like you want to change the color of the outside of your house if you want to paint it. This gives you that 3D element to be able to see exactly what your house will look like. And it's not just necessarily for externals as well. You can use this on internals. So if you just want to make a 3D model of your kitchen, you can do it with that, and then you can start playing around with things, moving things, or adding new things as well. That's the added benefit of the 3D warehouse as well, which we'll have a quick look at as well during this video. Right, in one of the previous videos, you saw how to import a DWG or DXF, and that's one of the options you can use. Through this video, I'll show you how to use a DWG, DXF, or PDF, but that's if you have plans already. If you don't have plans, don't worry. I'll show you exactly how to build your house in SketchUp without plans, and then later on what you'll be able to do is create plans from the 3D model that you've built. What I'll do first of all is show you how to build it from importing a DWG and DXF. Now, if you've got a PDF, okay, some videos will show you how to import a PDF into SketchUp. I recommend you don't do that because it doesn't really work in terms of the resolution. So the easiest way to do it is if you go search the internet for CADsoft tools, and they have a free online PDF to DWG converter. And what that does, you import your PDF of your plans if you have them, and then that'll import them into a DWG, which you can then open in SketchUp. And I know what a lot of you are going to say, well, you can't import DWGs unless you've got SketchUp Pro, and yet that is correct. But if you've never downloaded SketchUp Pro before, download SketchUp Pro. You get a 30-day free trial. You can use all the features, and then what you can do is save all of those files and actually take them over to SketchUp Make later on, as long as you save it in the right format. So that's a great thing that you can do, is use all the features of SketchUp Pro. Just download the 30-day free trial, use it for that, and then once that's done, you can open it all in SketchUp Make later on. So as I showed you earlier, what you do is file import. This is on the previous video as well if you've already seen it. We've got an existing DWG. We're going to import that. Just let that load, a little rainbow wheel of death if you're on Mac. So see all the information there, and then if we scroll out, okay, you can see that it's actually, so it's all grouped together. What we can do is right click, explode that, because all we need is these two drawings over here. So once that's exploded, we're going to delete those two parts, group those back together, right click, make group, and then pressing the M key, we're going to move them down to the origin. Where the nice lady is, painter and decorator. Okay, so we just pop that there. So you can see now, what I've got on here is my elevations and my plans. What we're going to focus on though is the plans. Okay, so these are all grouped, as you can see. Now, if you've got the plans already, it's great, because what you do is draw over the walls, etc., and then take them up. Now, I know what you're saying, well, I don't have plans, I need to start from scratch. Well, this is where you make your own plans using SketchUp. Now, what you need is at least a tape measure, but a digital tape measure is also a good one, a disto, because that makes it a lot more accurate, and you can do it very accurate to the nearest millimeter. And what you're going to do is start off in one room of your house, and you're going to go around your house measuring all of the walls. So as an example, what I'll do is you'd start off in your living room, for instance, and what you want to do is draw a plan view. And for those of you who don't know, a plan view The way to imagine it is if you take a line which is 1 meter above the floor, and if you imagine if you were to get a chainsaw and chop through your house, you're drawing a picture of what you'd see. Now, you don't need to go into detail. Obviously, don't include things like furniture. You don't need to include the actual makeup of the wall. You just need to have the outline of the wall. So when you're measuring, you obviously want to measure each part. So you can see that one, for instance, is 1042. And then where the chimney breast is, that's 382. Now, the easiest way to do this is get a pen and piece of paper. What you'll see flashing up in the right-hand corner now. Okay, that was the original drawings which I did for another house, not this house. So this is what I do. I tend to draw it all out in my mind, roughly how it'll look. It doesn't have to be to scale. It doesn't really matter. As long as you get the dimensions of every part, and you can see where I've written the dimensions. Now it might look a little Rain Man, but it's however you write it, as long as you know what numbers relate to what dimensions. And then what you do is on a blank SketchUp, what you do is you'd start drawing. So for instance, we said that was 1042. Type it in, click enter. And then we can start doing, so that was 300. Then around the chimney breast was 700. And then it was back another 300. Remember, if you hover over it, it'll snap. And then all you're doing is building your house in a plan view to start off with. You need to start off in 2D. It works a lot better to then build it in 3D later on. So what we'll do is just delete that part. And then once you've drawn all of your plan, you can see this is obviously quite detailed. You don't need to go into as much detail. You should have a plan like so. Now what will happen is that as you're building yours as well, when your lines create a box, they will actually fill it in. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So what I'm going to do here is show you how you do it on this house, for instance. Now this house is actually a semi-detached, so what I'm going to imagine is that there is a line going all the way through. Now the easiest way I find, especially with bay windows, is I tend to separate it into a few different parts. What you can do is with normal windows, though I'll show you in a second, is you can just draw straight through and then create the window later. So what I'm going to do is start going round. And remember, because the other layer is grouped, this is a new part that I'm creating over the top. And what I'm doing is just snapping. What I'm going to do here is go through. Now you can see what's happened here is there's a slight difference. Now that could be anything. The wall makeup, the plasterboard might be slightly thicker. That could be absolutely anything. Now it's up to you what you do here. What I'm actually going to do is go to there and then go zoom in a bit more. And then carry on. Zoom out again. And carry on. Going all the way around. Keep zooming out. Now what we're doing here is, again, that's where the door is. But when it's a flat window, what I tend to do is just go straight across. So you can see that lines up perfectly. Keep going. Now this is a separate part, but I'm just going to, but that was a later extension. So I'm just going to follow this wall for now. And I know that wall goes all the way through, down to the bottom of the house. Follow it all back through again. Now you'll see I'm missing out these internal walls. That's because we'll just build them up later on. And then what I'm going to do is get right to the end, zoom back out, and then I'm going to use the external of the original wall. We'll build the extension later on. Hopefully that lines all the way through. Again, we'll just go all the way through to that part, and then I'm going to come all the way down to here. Now you see, it doesn't quite line up, but what we do is zoom in, going to go to there, and then pull it across. And you see what's happened is it's got a light blue, and the reason for that is that now that is a separate separate shape, 2D shape, but we can make it into a 3D shape. Now one thing you need to remember is when you're building your model, when you're measuring your model, is you need to get the ceiling heights in every room. So again, the easiest way to do this is with a digital tape measure. What we're going to do on this one is I'm going to see if actually the heights are on. It might not be. all the elevations. They're not, but you will have measured inside your house. So what you can do is pull it up, pull those walls up, and create that ground level floor. And what I'm going to show you here as well is a little trick to help you build it a lot faster. If you haven't already got elevations, that's absolutely fine. You can do this later on. But if you already have elevations as well, what you can do is, what we're going to do is, we're going to double click to go into that group. I'm going to select all of this one. What we're going to do is we're going to Command copy, so Command C or Control C if you're on the PC. I'm going to select out of the group, then we're going to Control or Command V. And we've got this as a separate part now. So we'll place that there. Just let that load. Yep, now that's loaded. So what we'll do is we'll group that actually. So select it all, right click, make group. Now what you'll see is it's on a 2D plane. So what you need to do is, by selecting the rotate tool, and what you want to do is you need to press your arrow keys to be able to lock it into the plane. So I know for this one, I need to lock it in the red plane to be able to get it to stand up. I'm going to click once, select on the green axis, and then rotate it. And I know I want 90 degrees, type in 90, and I've got 90 degrees. Now what I'm going to do is line it up with something I already know exists, which is the bottom part of the house. Zoom out, snap it in, and then what I'm going to do is move it back, remembering keep it in the green axis. If it doesn't stay in the green axis, press your left arrow. And then there you go, press escape. And we've got actually the house sitting behind now, how it will look. And you're thinking, well, why would I want to use that? Well, the reason is because now when you press P to get the push and pull tool, what I can do is select, and then I can snap it. If I zoom in, I can snap it to what I know is the height of the house. So we'll go to just under the fascia, under the eaves, and I know now that is the size of the house. Now that is going all the way up, remember, that is including the first floor level over here. Okay, so I'm going to go off that one for now, because what I'm going to do is build the first floor level up first. Okay, so I know that the up to the ceiling on the ground floor is 2,400 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is just take this part, type 2400 up to there, then I can use the push-pull tool, pressing P, and I can snap to there, and I know that is correct all the way around this house now. And if you want, what you can is you can delete that line later on. So you can see we've got the outside walls. We've still obviously got this the extension part which was built. That can be added as well. So if you look on the elevation, you can see the extension part. But the main one is the internal walls. Now what you can do with this one is you can either create them individually for the rooms, or you can create them all at the same time and then add the doors later on. So what I'll show you is, first of all, is what I'm going to do is just snap. Zoom in if you can't snap. So snap a bit better. And again, if it doesn't quite work, zoom in, because you might not be hitting it exactly. Okay, so what I'll show you is on this one. Is what we've done is we've created the walls separately. So then what we can do is push and pull up to that level. And then what happens sometimes is you'll see it's come as a grey. That's because it hasn't quite had the face on the correct side. What you do if that happens, if it's coming out a light blue or a light grey, as you're doing it, so it's Control if you're on PC or Alt if you're on a Mac. And then what that does is it turns it white. Now what you'll see here, what's happened is the line for where the door is has gone all the way up. Now we all know doors don't go right up. It might do in your house, but that isn't quite correct if it does. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw first of all. You can either use the tape measure or your line. Draw from the bottom. And for this one, let's say the doors are exactly 2 meters high. You'll see we've got a little spot there. We bring that across. Then what we do is we take that top part and we pull it, snap it to there, and you'll see it's connected. What you can do if you want to get rid of the lines as well, just select them and press delete. And now what we've got is a doorway into the living room, as it were. And it works exactly the same as well for the bay window here. So what we do is we draw that bay window separately. So you'll see what it's actually done here is it's created a whole floor inside, but we don't want it to create a floor. So we'll keep going around this part. And then what should happen now is you press the pull, you see it's there. And then what we can do is we can start moving. Again, it's done that thing, so let's press the Alt or Control if you're on a Mac, if you're on a PC, sorry. And then we don't quite know the height, but all we do is if you've got that elevation, you scroll into that elevation, and I know it needs to be that high. Or if you don't remember, just type in. So that's the basis of our bay window, how that's going to look. Now what you can do if it isn't angled like this, if it is perfectly round, what you can do is just use the arc tool, and that way you can create the perfect shape. But this one is actually brick, so it is actually faceted in certain parts. So you can see that is how that looks. So we've got that first room that started to be built. And again, you just do exactly the same with all the parts. Difference is, I'll show you on this one, what you can do is if you want to, is go past the door. Remember to zoom in, make sure you're on the right part. So you'll see what actually happens here is the door's slightly off. What we'll do is so yeah, that's created it, but it's obviously created it where the door is. We press the push and pull tool, bring it up. And you see what it's done is if we add it to there, it's actually where we want the door to be. It's actually obviously put something in. So what you'd do at that point is you'd actually draw out your door. So let's say we're only 2 meters. Snap it to there. Bring it down. And then what you can do is you can push and pull, push that through. Select it. Oh, haven't quite gone all the way through because the wall's slightly off. You can see obviously that's a problem we've encountered there. The wall isn't exactly perfect there, so it won't go all the way through. So what you need to do in this point is take that wall out again, Command Z, and draw that wall again, but making sure that line is straight. So yeah, the easiest way, as we said, is the one we showed for the first door. Now what we're going to do is imagine that we've built all this up. When it comes to the stairs, again, what you're doing is just a push and pull really. Makes it a lot easier. What you can do though, is if you want, is you can actually draw the stairs going up the wall. So for instance, like so, I know that if I knew that every step was 200 mil high, and then obviously just snap it to that part and then keep drawing. So just as an example, I'll do the first 3 steps. Yeah, first 3. And then if we were to take, oh, I haven't gone far enough. Yeah. And then what you could do from there, using the push and pull tool, is bring out your steps to exactly where you want them. Now see, this bottom step is slightly rounded, so what we do in that case, we can either round off from the bottom, so we'd create a line, pressing L, go down to the floor. Easiest way is to push and pull, so we need to pull that bottom one out a little bit more. We then create that arc that goes around, just roughly, and we can, with the Alt, press that out, and if we want, we can get rid of those lines as well. Again, that's how you create your bottom step. So you do that all the way up, and then you create your stairs as well. And then if you wanted to create, for instance, as a cupboard under the stairs, you'd simply use the push and pull tool to create that gap. Now what we do is, once we've done that, is we need to figure out what the depth of the floor is. Now often around stairs it's quite easy to do this because we can figure out what the ceiling to the first floor level is. There is other ways to do this as well, using external measurements, etc. So for instance, what you do is you can take a measurement on the internal, on the first floor up to the sill of a window, and then do it exactly the same on the outside to a certain level that you know, and then you can work out what the thickness of the floor is. So the easiest way is what I'm going to show you on this. I'm going to create a full rectangle. So what we'll do is we'll measure this. So take measure. So 6412 by 7954. So we've created that, and for instance, let's say it's 300. Select that, all of it, press the M tool, and we're going to drag that across, place that. Now what you can do is you can make it a group if you want, so you can move it later on. So there you go, you've got that part. And what you can do is later on, you will, also we need to move that slightly anyway, press M to move that slightly, is you can get rid of those lines. Don't worry about that, we'll get rid of those later on. Now what you need to do is to create that second part, is using the first floor one you can see here. So what we'll do is double click, select it, press the M, and we'll use this one here. What we're going to do is move it to the point we know. Place that there, select out of it, and then what you've got is you've got the makings of your first floor. So using exactly the same method as we did earlier, what you do is you go around, okay, so for instance, what we do is we'll draw. So for instance, what we do is just this corner, just to give you an example. Created that part, using the push and pull, we create, and again if you know the height, type that in, create your first floor level. Now what happens is if you know what you're doing in terms of measuring, all that you do is measure exactly. So for instance on this room, we'd measure where the window is. From this wall here, we'd measure how high the sill is and how high the window is. And that way, when you're drawing your window, you'd obviously draw it into the height. that you've measured it at, and then push and pull. And if you select on the edge, it'll create that perfect hole. What you can do is, if you've got that elevation we spoke about earlier, what you can do is you can actually either move the elevation and then trace around it, or what you can do is with the line tool is take each one and then select through. You can see there's the green, wait till it's on the face, and then I know that part there is that part, and then what you'll do is you can draw around the window and push and pull that way. So that is that part. Now you can see we've got the basis here of our house starting to be drawn up. And again, it's exactly the same when it comes to front doors, outside steps. All that you want to be doing is creating that initial shape, that 2D shape, and then pushing and pulling. So for instance, this step, draw that out, or draw it out even if you haven't got plans, draw it out, and then you're pushing and pulling until you get that height that you want. So 145, let's say, for instance. And again, if you want to go into a lot of detail, what you can do is this is when you can start creating faces, for instance. So for instance, if it was a bevel stone, you can start creating more realistic steps, for instance. And then obviously we create the door. Now, if you're thinking, well, I don't want to draw my whole door, but I want it to actually look like my door, the best way to do this is using the 3D warehouse. So again, if you go File, 3D Warehouse, Get Models, what it'll do is open the Trimble 3D Warehouse. Sometimes it's a bit hit and miss. If it doesn't load instantly, what you can do is actually go on the website, download them, and then just import them. Exactly the same as you imported the DWG, DXF, but just import it as a SketchUp part. So let's just type in external door. You see you've got a huge selection, and then you can just select one that looks like your door, or maybe a door that you want on your house. All you do is download it, it'll go straight in to your model, and then you can place it in that gap you've just created. And you can do this for so many things. You can do it for your internal doors, even your windows, and a lot of them come as scalable models, so you can make them fit exactly into your model. So as you can see, I've given you the basis of how to start creating your house in SketchUp. And again, you don't need to have plans for this. It does help, but you don't need plans. It just takes a lot longer to put it in if you don't. As I said, the easiest way is to create your plans first of all, and then go off them. Otherwise, what will be happening is you'll be measuring, going back to SketchUp, trying to draw it up, and it'll take a lot longer. If you've just come to this video and you've got no idea how to use SketchUp, remember you can check out my tutorial, which is in the link below. 3 videos, it'll take you an hour to watch it, a little bit longer if you're using SketchUp at the same time. But that'll show you the basics of everything that you need to create and build your house in SketchUp. And again, you can use it for so many endless options. Just to give you an example, this was actually a live project, and what was happening with this one is the small extension was getting knocked down. We're actually extending the whole house further to where the extension used to be, to create a 2-story extension to the house. And again, yeah, I did create a SketchUp model initially for this one, just a very basic one, so I could get the scaling and get the idea of a massing model together. But you can go into a lot more detail if you want. Start adding your materials as well, like you've seen in previous videos. The ones that SketchUp have are quite good anyway. If not, you can just download them. So as an example, we look on here, let's scroll up to brick, let's select one of the bricks, and again, that's when you can start creating your quite realistic looking house. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I hope that helps you. If you've got any questions whatsoever, let me know. Just pop them in the comments below and I'll add them. If you think I haven't covered something, let me know and I'll pop it in another video, or I'll try and describe it, how best to do it, in the comment section as well. And once again, if you've got any videos that you want, whether it's SketchUp or V-Ray or Revit or Photoshop or most architectural pieces of software, let me know and I'll get it down. Try that I make a video for it, or I'll let you know in the comments exactly how to do something. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Don't forget, click subscribe. Lots more videos coming your way, especially SketchUp, and a lot more Revit videos coming your way soon as well. Thanks for watching. You've been watching Arc Tutorials. I've been Chris. See you again soon, guys. Goodbye.